Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dev Chat. I'm here with Charlie Wagner. How are you doing, Charlie?
A bit cold, but doing well.
Yeah, I mean, you just got done releasing this game just a week or two ago, so I'm guessing all the immune system's finally giving up all that hard work.
Yeah, and the weather also not
Yeah,
helping, but yeah.
I can imagine. So I always start off by asking people how their game dev journey went. So how did this start for you?
So actually, like when I was a kid, I didn't play that much video games,
Mm.
because my parents had a very like no video game consoles at home policy, which obviously didn't really work out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so for a long while, I didn't play that much video games, apart from sometimes some flash games on my parents' PC.
Yeah.
But then, like in I think like 2013 or something, I finally got a computer, and so I played a bunch of games on that. And then later, initially I initially wanted to go more into a movie making direction, I guess.
Mm.
But actually, during high school, I realized that actually I was way more interested in the video game stuff and like just game design and the whole that whole industry.
So what was like the first step there? Because I know you started with a bunch of like smaller games. So how did that start?
Yes, so it kind of started. So last year of high school, we had you could choose like a kind of a specialization little thing that you would do like I think an hour per week or something, 2 hours. And so there was like a computer science thing that I took. And I was happy to learn that actually it was an option to like we had to make a small project, and it was an option to make an actual like little video game.
Yeah.
And so I started out with like the free version of like I think it was Game Maker 1.4. And so I made some like I think it's still on my itch.io, but like a really simple like top-down space shooter.
Yeah, there was that. There was a Flappy Bird like game as well. Like, from all the people I've talked to, I've seen that you've published the most games, which is
Oh,
interesting. Like,
yeah.
obviously a lot of small ones, but still.
Yeah, well, it's so I did a bunch of small things when I was like last year of high school, and then so I had a 1 year break, and then I joined an actual like game design school,
Mm.
well, game development, but I joined in the game design curriculum.
Mm.
And so it was like 4 years, and so a bunch of the stuff that's on my HIO was the project I did during that time, and also some extra game jam stuff from that time.
Cool. So like, what led to this game? Because, like we said, like a lot of your previous games were small. Like, why was this your first proper like full-on Steam release and everything? Like, how did it come about, and why carry it this far?
Well. So funnily enough, this is supposed to be the small game, because
Ah.
actually I had a way bigger project that I had started. Was like the summer right after COVID.
Mm.
I started working on a project which I think that there's still videos of it on my YouTube channel of like
Mm.
and also maybe a demo on my itch of
Yeah.
like basically Mirror's Edge X Mario
Yes.
Galaxy,
Yeah.
which I might still do someday, but there was some like overarching design issues with that concept. But I spent like
Mm.
so 2023, so 3 years on it, and
Yeah.
I think I kind of built up in my head the thing of like, oh, I'm gonna do so many things with this game
Yeah.
and stuff, and but never actually coalescing it into this is what the game is going to be.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I took a break and I did a game jam with some friends,
Mm.
where I did the Recycle, the small game with the
Yes.
raccoon on the bike, and that's clearing a park. That's also on my HIO.
Yep.
And I don't know that making a small project like that, which I mean, it's not like a huge project and it's not feature complete, but there's lots of stuff that I always had trouble motivating myself to do, like options and doing the whole menus
Yeah.
stuff and clean stuff like that. And finally doing it and being like, oh, actually, it's manageable. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just like make a smaller project, not smaller than the game jam thing, but smaller than my parkour Mirror's Edge thing,
Yeah.
and just try to make that release it on Steam. And so now I should have a released game that
Yeah.
I kind of knowing how to do stuff, which then I could maybe come back to the initial project and finish that.
Yeah. Cool.
But obviously, it went way out of scope after that because that Hypogea is way bigger than what I was thinking I was going to do initially.
What was like the first thing that came? Was it the story? Because it's got a very unique world. Like, did the world come first or did the gameplay come first? Like,
Well, the main thing for me was like I wanted to stay in have a kind of 3D platformer, and I wanted to I like to have this
Yeah.
thing of like a core constraint of like this is the key, the core idea of the game, and in this case was like the staff movement.
Yeah.
And so initially I was also part of trying to work on like this root motion animation. So basically instead of just using vectors and forces for movement, you just have a movement that's inside of the animation that's used to control the character. And so when you do a pole vault, that's what's happening. It's that the animation is the actual drives the actual movement of the character instead of doing it via code.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the first thing I prototyped, was just like having I think I took a Mixamo character and added a long scaled up cube to make the staff. Did an animation for that, and then I played around with it. And so the pole vault was really the first thing that came up. I think the second thing was the standing on the staff, which actually came up. I think I was at that point. There was one of the trailers for the Wukong.
Black Myth.
Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah.
And there was like one shot in the trailer where he like the main character stands on his staff and was like, oh, that's an interesting movement option.
Nice.
So
and
so the moveset kind of built up from that, and then the world came after that.
Yeah, so I know I saw like you posted on Bluesky that one of your inspirations like world-wise was the movie 9. So like other than that, like what are, let's say, 3 inspirations, gaming or movies or whatever otherwise, like what are 3 things that inspired like the world of this game?
So 3 things. Well, so as I said, there was 9, so the animated movie from 2009. That's easy to remember. There's a bunch of Portal 2, which was one of the first game I got into when I finally got back into video games when I got a computer. So a lot of Portal 2 with which I think is pretty obvious with the environment and also maybe some of the character designs. Another. What would be another source?
Like what I don't know if you intended it, and I don't know even know if you've played the games, but something like a Shadow of the Colossus, or like a I don't know, like the kind of post-apocalyptic, kind of very lonely but also not lonely vibe, like something like that. I got that feeling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So actually, Shadow of the Colossus was a huge reference more in the kind of rendering side. So. Even though I'm like taking some liberties in terms of like the game probably couldn't run on a PS2, but I really like there's visually there's really a smoothness to the I feel to the visuals of Shadow of the Colossus. You've got all those like blended textures together and huge like hand model environments. And yeah, I really like that visual style. So yeah, that was a big inspiration in terms of rendering. There's also some I guess some movies that I watched later than when I started the game, but that kind of fed the visuals. Would be like there's Mad God, which is the
the stop motion one,
by Phil Tippett, and the other one is also a stop motion animated movie from Japan. I'm trying to remember the name. Junkhead. Which is also a underground kind of mega structure stop motion animated movie, which is kind of funny that there's a kind of an ecosystem of those kinds of movies. But yeah, I think that would be trying to wait days ago. Yeah, also there's a bit of insight too. Especially like for me I actually when I played it inside and also when I tried to have I think I tried to have my dad play it and just the fact that having someone play it and seeing that like if you just have like I think they have just one stick and also one stick and two buttons as the controls. And like it's just like, oh yeah, that's so much easier to like teach people how to interact with the game, because like you probably just have two options every time to do stuff. So that was a big inspiration for the kind of control scheme and general like control philosophy of the character.
Yeah, like that's the great thing about the game is like it's very like you've only got basically one button plus the sticks basically, but like that's it. You can basically play the game with just the what do you call it, the X button. So that was cool. Like it's in theory shouldn't be too hard to teach people this, like you said.
Yeah, initially there was another button that was like the Y button for the interactions. But like I had lots of playtests where I just saw people just pressing the staff button to interact with the environment and just doing the standing on the staff move in front of the battery holders, which was a bit frustrating. I had a friend say like just switch it to the staff button. It's cleaner, and I feel that was a good call.
No, yeah, absolutely, completely works. So yeah, like you said, the inspirations of the story, like how, because you've got like, hold on, I'm gonna pause the game a minute. Like you have a bunch of artifacts and collectibles that, like, you know, with all this background information, and like they've got their own alphabet. Like where did this world come from? Like how did you come up with this basically? What was the process like for that?
Well, so there was I think the main idea, so I guess somewhat spoilers, but the idea is that the game kind of takes place in this complex that's holding the remains of like lots of robots that were used in a war. And so I guess the core idea kind of came of like just a reflection of like why are all these robots there? Why is this huge facility abandoned? And why would there be so many different types of robots, even though at the end of the day there's not that many different models in the game? But when I was thinking of the game, I was like, yeah, how do I justify all of that stuff being there and like sealed away? And so yeah, I was thinking, I guess there was a bit of like the Chernobyl like containment. It's not a dome, but like structure of like this being kind of something similar. Of like, oh, there's this huge complex that's containing some dangerous materials.
Yeah, cool. And where, like, I wonder what the decision was behind like having no dialogue. I'm guessing partially budgetary reasons, but like, Was that an intentional thing you like decided on early on, like no dialogue for the story?
Well, it came initially. I was thinking of like doing dialogue, because like I reused a bunch of the code base I made for the jam game with the raccoons. So that had dialogue, so I was thinking of using that. And so when I was resetting to the character with the movement and everything, I re-implemented the like the dialogue box stuff properly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was just like, I'm gonna write some like test dialogue, and I was like, I actually don't really know what tone to use for the dialogue, and like how these robots would speak and everything. And like I thought about it and was like, actually, it's probably more interesting if I don't write anything, and also like I don't necessarily have to figure out stuff. For like I feel like it's way more open-ended in terms of understanding the narrative.
No, I think it was a good decision.
Yeah. Well, I hope. In terms of production, I later realized to my dismay that actually that means
a lot more cutscenes, right?
A lot of cutscenes, a lot of animation and scripting and stuff, which I don't know if I knew that. I'm not sure I would have done that discussion. But I think the game is still. I think it really helps differentiating the game.
100%. Like I don't know how many other games that are like mostly solo developed that have like proper like full-on cutscenes, and on top of that you've got the hook of the staff and everything. I think overall, obviously at the cost of your sanity, but still I think a good decision. You said also like with it being wordless, you have to do cutscenes and everything to guide them through the story. How do you guide players? Because one of the things I loved about this game is like a lot of indie games I always get lost. With this I almost got lost for like a minute or two, but for the most part I knew where I was going. How do you guide players with basically no dialogue, except for the stuff at the bottom, of course, but like how did you make sure people didn't get lost?
Well, I guess one thing that is first, like it's a linear game. It's not it's like if I think of like stuff like Lone Thriller, the environments are like well, it's a part of the gameplay to kind of explore the environments, but still they're like really huge, and you have a huge area of like spots where it can go and stuff like that. Here it's more of a linear game. I think there's also something with just seeing like where there are props and detail kind of helps guiding the player in terms of like you're not going to go to the spot where like there's a huge rock texture with nothing on it.
Yeah, because I obviously saw one of your games, the yellow paint one.
Yeah.
which was hilarious, and I'm glad you decided not to go for that, obviously.
Yeah, actually I at some point I did a April Fool's post where I just like put some yellow paint everywhere, which I might do an April Fool's update at some point.
Yeah, actually I would replay the game for that.
But yeah, I think it's the fact that it's linear helps. There's also I did a bunch of playtesting to check for spots where the game might be a bit unclear in terms of where you have to go. There is still spots in the game where I see people kind of struggling of like, oh, I went there, I don't really know why I'm here now, especially in the area that's with the butterflies. Yes,
I think there was one spot in the game where I felt a bit confused, but I figured it out in like a minute or two.
But also there's also some tricks of like just lighting. There's some spot where I also just make the blinking lights, which is both really obvious and also kind of inward justification to like, oh, there's moving stuff here. Maybe I should have a look.
No one's painting anything. So again, one of the things I liked about the game as well, like on top of the direction and everything, was like it's not often that I play a game and I'm like, oh, this is actually really good design, because you're consistently introducing new mechanics and you're not dragging them out for too long. So what was your process for like new mechanics, and how did you decide how much time to allocate to each mechanic? Like you mentioned the butterflies, or there's a wall hook thing later on in the game. Like, how did you space them out, and how did you order them, and like what was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, well, in terms of like how I set those up, it was I initially prototyped them, so the prototypes came first, and in general I was like trying to come up with as many interesting uses of the staff in terms of platforming, even though some of them don't really use the staff, but I was trying to find interesting mechanics on that side. And then when I had to do the actual levels, it was like, okay, I have this mechanic. What's a nice progression of them? What's different uses I can have? So, for example, you have a chain. You can just have a swing on it. You can have a spot where you just need to climb, and then you have a spot where you need to use your weight on it to kind of move something. And so it was mostly about like trying to have I have this mechanic. What's a nice way to use it in different ways, and like also to teach it progressively, because like as I said with Portal 2, that's a huge thing of like the whole game is a tutorial.
Yeah.
And it's just like progressively showing you how stuff works and how stuff can be used. And so I guess that's probably something that maybe shows through in terms of the game design of like it's always progressively trying to show and teach new uses of stuff.
Yeah, because like I was never like, I always knew what the game expected of me, and I was never bored of a mechanic. Like anytime I felt like, okay, this might be going on for too long, there was a new mechanic, which I really appreciated. You mentioned that you did eventually, ultimately, overscope with this game. How did you decide on a release date and stick to it, and not just endlessly work on the game and never release it?
Well, first, one thing that really helped was just it was a bit way earlier than when I chose the release date, but just having to like telling myself that okay, I'm gonna do the February Steam Next Fest. That already was something of like, okay, I'm gonna wrap up one section of the game, which was like the earlier section, like up until you entered the room you're in. Just that already like helped to kind of coalesce everything into like, oh, this is what the game is supposed to be, and this is what like this is how cutscenes work, this is how the interface is going to be. And then later on, when I had to, so the thing is also up until like May of this year, I was actually still working at my previous job at Game Atelier, which is a French game development company.
Yeah.
And so once I left in May, and so at that point I was like, okay, I'm not gonna look for a job first. I'm just gonna finish my game.
Yeah.
But the idea is that unemployment wouldn't last for extremely long, so I was like, okay, I want to finish the game this year.
Yeah.
And so that was the first kind of motivator for the release date, and then looking at the different like spots in the release calendar. I was trying to find one spot where there weren't many other big games releasing, even though it's pretty hard in the current landscape with all the releases. And yeah, the 10th of November looked pretty alright in terms of other releases, which I think I chose well. I just didn't look at the actual release time, which later was I realized was not a good decision because it released at midnight, and so I fixed bugs till 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
which was probably not my best move. So next time I'll probably look more into the actual time.
Yeah. That's cool. I think like what's it called? Like unemployment, amazing motivator to not overscope because you actually financially
Yeah.
cannot. So that's a good one.
Mm.
So how does it feel actually like after working on this game for like 2 years around? How does it feel finally releasing it? Your first official proper like full on Steam game.
Well, it's like it's kind of a soft release because I'm still batching
Yeah.
up a bunch of, well, less now, but I up until like beginning of this week, I was still patching up a bunch of bugs.
Yeah.
But it does feel really weird to have like this thing that in general I was just like playtesting with friends
Yeah.
and just like showing privately and stuff like that. Just having that out now and being like, oh, actually, yeah, people are just streaming the game on Twitch sometimes,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, it does feel weird. But yeah, I'm slowly getting used to it, and yeah, to be honest, it's really incredible seeing the reception. I honestly never expected people to be so happy with the game. Like yeah, I'm honestly really grateful at the reception of the game.
Fantastic. So what's next? I know you have a bunch of, like you mentioned, your parkour game. If you have, I know I don't remember the name exactly, but the 2-player one that's kind of similar vibes. That was a game jam game as well. Like, what's next for you?
Yes. So so initially I was thinking like, okay, I'm releasing Hypogea and then I'm gonna move on to something else. I have to say I saw a bunch of reviews that were like, oh, yeah, I would like maybe some a bit more in that universe,
Yeah.
and so I'm thinking about how that could work out.
Yeah.
I also need to like see if I can actually find interesting stuff to do with it, so that there's no confirmation on that.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
I'm thinking about that, but otherwise, other stuff that I want to do, like, yeah, I have the co-op game that I did in the game jam this summer that I kind of want to maybe expand onto for a Steam release, even though I mean, I say it now, but probably it will still overscope. But I would like to keep the scope small for that one,
Yeah.
so I can release it in a shorter time. And one thing is, I know I had the parkour game, the Mirror's Edge Mario Galaxy one. I probably won't do next because one thing I want to do for the next my next project is I want to switch to Godot.
Yeah.
So this one, Hypogea, was made in Unity. The game jam game I made this summer was in Godot, and so yeah, I really want to fully transition to Godot at some point.
How come?
And, well, there's a bunch of like it's mostly like I'm not a fan of like the direction of that Unity has recently taken. There was the whole revenue sharing thing that happened like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So, and when that happened, I was thinking of like how, because for 3D modeling I use Blender, and like that's just incredible experience of like as a software. It's really good, and I was like, it's probably better if I just switch to another open source software for the actual game part, because that way like I feel like Godot's approaching this I mean, hopefully it's approaching this critical mass of like just getting better and better of every update, and the possibilities expanding. So so yeah, that's really something that I'm interested in, and also seeing what's the I guess all the stuff that's happening with the stock markets
Yep.
and investors and stuff like that for big tech companies, I'm like, okay, probably a safer bet to
Yes.
switch to something open source
Absolutely.
in the future.
You mentioned what's it called, like that. We've talked about a lot about overscoping and everything. What is like? How do you feel about like for game developers, like aspiring indie devs like you, like solo devs and everything? How do you feel about like should they focus on releasing a bunch of small things like consecutively, or focus on one big thing and over time, release it? Like what I know you've done you've done both actually. So which one would you
Yeah.
recommend for like actually like furthering yourself as a game dev?
I think there's a little, yeah. For me, I would really advise to do a bunch of small projects. I mean, obviously, Hypogea is a pretty big one,
Yeah.
but still, it was really fueled by the stuff I learned through making like small game jam games and stuff like that. So I guess for me, yeah, it would be definitely like making small projects, because I think one thing that's probably doesn't come naturally is that there's a specific I guess skill set of like making a game come together and shipping a game. That you don't get if you just like work on the same thing continually, which was the mistake I was doing when I was doing my parkour game.
Yeah.
Was like just I was building and building and building. I think it was Xavier Nelson
Yes.
Jr. from Strange Scaffold that said that nowadays you tend to have people that are really good at working on games, but not necessarily that experienced at releasing them. And that's really something that I really want to. Well, obviously Hypogea is a first step, but I really want to get better at that. Even like stuff like marketing and stuff like that for my next project. Because like there is, apart from like building the mechanics and stuff, you have a thing of like, okay, how do I wrap everything up into a nice experience that people enjoy and that works and has no bugs, which I'm still working on.
Yeah, no, like I was gonna say, like it is your first, and even with that, like I feel like as a total package, the game is like, genuinely great. Like it's short, it's like you never get bored of it. You, like I said with the design, you've got new mechanics, you know where you're going. Like I don't feel like anything is particularly missing in this game. So yeah, great job in general, even if it wasn't your first.
One thing I have to say is that I wouldn't necessarily like for me it's my first like solo indie release. I wouldn't say it's my first game because
of course,
as I said, I worked at a game company before. I did an internship before that, so like I'm not coming at it with like I'll just make my first game. I had some. I'm very lucky to have had some experience on that.
No, of course. I just mean that in terms of like bringing everything together, like there's no like for a mostly solo developed game, like usually there is some sort of something missing. It's either too buggy or like with this, I feel like there's no major glaring issues. So yeah, that was great. So do you have any other advice for aspiring indie devs? Because I am kind of one myself. Like how, if someone, let's say, just can't bring themselves to work on a game or something, like what's the first step?
I think there I mean, maybe that was just something I had when I started, but like I saw this thing of like finding the fun, and so I was like you just need to prototype a lot, but like you need to prototype a lot and you need to test stuff because otherwise you don't know what works and what doesn't. And so I think there's a huge thing of like try to make a playable build of something and try to have people test it and I feel like that I guess it's really simple and basic advice, but like that just having to coalesce the idea of like, this is what the game is going to be into, this is what the game is. It's really something that I mean, I personally really struggled with it initially of like, how do I fit this vague idea of like platforming with the staff in the megastructure? How do I coalesce that into there's X number of levels, this mechanics, and there's that, and there's and the menus look like that and stuff like that. I don't know if that answers it kind of.
No, yeah,
fully.
absolutely.
But yeah, for me, really playtesting, and one thing I feel like there's a bunch of stuff in the game that I playtested a bit too late, and for me, it's really like try to have something that's playable and testable as soon as possible. Because that definitely, like, having the whole game play testable, even in gray box and with basic mechanics and stuff, definitely helps in terms of like pacing and like knowing when stuff, pacing stuff encounters new things. One thing I remember having my the person who was my lead in my previous in the company I worked at previously. He playtested the game, and there was like this really valuable feedback of like, oh well, currently like at this specific point I feel like there's not enough like new stuff, or like, oh, at this point I feel like I've seen enough of this mechanic, and that really helps, because you know, like, okay, I probably don't need like this specific puzzle that I had trouble making work, or like, there's it. I feel like sometimes you easily get too much in your own mind of like, oh, like I have this mechanics and this, it doesn't really work because this design wise doesn't fit in terms of the rest, and like then you do a playtest and people are like, oh yeah, that's nice, I just didn't like the part where it did this, and you just cut that and it works, you know. It's,
No, a common piece of advice for, like, I've heard a lot is like, what is it, like, kill your darlings or kill your babies or whatever. Like, let go of ideas that kind of drag the game down.
Yes, definitely. The section with the butterflies that I mentioned previously. Initially, that whole mechanic was way more complex, and there was the whole thing of like, you would have like the lights that you turn on and off to like trap the butterflies, to have them stay in the specific spots, and like I had lots of scripting issues because you could get to some point without a butterfly and then you couldn't come back and stuff like that, and I was like pulling my hair out trying to make it work, and then I was like, what if I just don't have that? You just have the butterflies that follow you. And I did a playtest, and the person who tested was like, oh yeah, that's really fun. That was a really nice level. I was like, okay, probably saving me a bunch of time.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about indie games. Do you have any indie games you would like to shout out, or something like, you know, people should look out for?
Indie games. Oh yes, so I had the chance to do a close playtest for the folks at Heart the Ghoul. So it's kind of Kingsfield-ish, immersive sim-ish, Dark Messiah-inspired a game with like lots of physics and stuff. I really encouraging people to wishlist that, because like they're doing some really cool stuff, and honestly I can't wait to see these, because it's really cool stuff. Otherwise, what else? There's actually, maybe I need to look at my wish list, but I know I'm looking forward to Motor Slice, which has a demo recently.
Yeah, that one's great.
Also kind of Mirror's Edge, Prince of Persia platformer, with a bit more combat obviously, but yeah, really cool to see. And still scrolling through.
I always forget how hard it is to play games while talking, and it's even harder when you actually need to do puzzles, because I'm like, oh my god, my brain does not go both ways.
Actually, puzzles were also something where like this puzzle initially was made way more complicated, and yet it was also a case of like, oh, actually, it's enough to have this level, because like obviously that's the thing when you especially when you're making puzzle, you just need to play this constantly because you're the worst person to decide if the puzzle is good or bad or anything. I did play there was the demo for Aero Machina.
Yes, yeah, the Metroidvania.
Which I'm also really looking forward to, because that was really nice.
Absolutely, yeah, that's got a lot of that's got a really unique vibe as well. Yeah, really looking forward to that as well. So, with so you've self-published this game. Was there any like thought of like talking to a publisher or having someone else figure it out, or was it always like the plan to self-publish it?
Well, when I started project was like, oh, this is gonna be small. I'm not gonna look for a publisher. Then when I left my previous job, I was like, I had it actually started when once the demo was published. I had some I think two or three publishers reach out for just to talk about the game and the project and timelines and stuff, if maybe I would be interested. So when I left my job, I had some discussions with them. It didn't really pan out because I felt like either they were waiting to see more of the game, which I hear is a really common thing of publishers these days, waiting for basically the game to be finished to invest money, which is maybe a bit
it doesn't make too much sense.
Doesn't make too much sense. But also one of those I discussed with I talked with in terms of like the revenue share was a bit rough, and I probably went I probably wasn't necessarily super smooth in terms of like discussing negotiating that revenue share with them. So that's probably on my end too, but it just didn't pan out, and so I was like, actually probably simpler for me to just ship it.
And how was that
on my own?
How was the self-publishing experience? Like, were there any difficulties or?
Well, obviously it's the nightmare of marketing in the game.
Yes.
Thankfully, I had some. I was very lucky to have some channels cover the game. So especially NoCaps and Alpha Beta Gamer that did videos on the game. So I was really lucky on that side. But especially since I don't want to use Twitter, and I hear that it's a big marketing platform for people.
Yeah, that sucks.
But otherwise, the thing is, I'm very lucky to have I have someone I know who Donia Ann, who did the coordination for the localization. Which I think that's, apart from marketing, that's the big thing that I would have needed a publisher for. And thankfully I just didn't need it, because she helped put me in contact with people who could do localization in different languages and like manage all that. So that was I was really lucky on that side.
So yeah, like with most indie games, the main issue is just getting the word around, basically.
Yeah, mostly.
How has the game performed according to your expectations? Like, not critically, but like what were your expectations with when you released it, and like not in terms of reception, but like how many people knew about it, or the wish list to purchase, transfer?
Well, in terms of like sales and wish lists, honestly, I was pretty surprised, because so the thing is, like, I jumped into this without doing. I think probably without doing enough market research.
Yeah.
Because when I was like probably 1 year in, I was discussing with a friend, and we were talking like, oh yeah, 3D platformers. And for me, it was like, I enjoy 3D platformers, so I'm kind of around those
Yeah.
games when there's posts and stuff like that, and some new one comes up, I know about it. But I didn't realize that it's kind of a smaller niche,
Yes.
apparently. And so then I was a bit scared because I was like, oh crap, maybe I didn't put my my time in the best
Genre. Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
But very thankfully, like it released, and honestly, in terms of like sales, and even if you look at the reviews, I'm just in terms of the number of reviews,
Yeah.
I'm really pleasantly surprised, because some 3D platformers that recently released, that I felt like was pretty big, seem to have way less tractions, which I'm still not sure how that happened.
Yeah.
But
It's just algorithms, man.
yeah. I did have a discussion about it with another developer, and the thing we discussed was probably something that helps is that the game doesn't visually look like the.
Yes.
It's not the
Mascot.
It's not the mascot platformer with like bright colors and stuff. So probably people see that and are like, oh, it's an action adventure game and not a 3D platformer, which is kind of funny because
Your
like there's
platforming.
no comment. It is a 3D platformer.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably something that helps in that.
That's one of my favorite things about the game, is that it's not like it doesn't look like every other platformer. It looks completely different. It reminds me a lot of like things like Tomb Raider, or like we mentioned earlier, Prince of Persia as well, like where like you're platforming, but it's not like small tiny bouncy character, which I think was one of its unique selling points.
Yeah, I think that's also something where like I only later realized that it was a strength, because like you're like, you work on your game, you're looking at inspirations and stuff like that, and you're all in that mind space of like, as a Portal 2, 9, like all those inspirations, and you're like, oh, but I'm just taking so much from these things, like it's not original, but like the people who buy and play your game that don't necessarily have those references. And there's also still value in just like what you're combining from those different influences. So
of course, yeah, absolutely. Like there is nothing, I can say this confidently, there's not much out there that's like this, I feel. I've mentioned a lot about how I like that it's short, and I mentioned that a lot because it's such an easily replayable game. Like I feel like it's, because after I was done with the game, I wanted more, but I'd rather want more than be ready to be over with the game. So because it's short, I'm left wanting more, and whenever I want, let's say in 6 months or something, I'm like, okay, let me open up Hypogea again. I just play for 2 hours, I'm done. Like, it's such a great decision.
Yeah, well, it's
out of necessity.
Mostly mostly a budget and timing constraint, but yeah, honestly, like sometimes I see indie games where like they're like, oh, we have like 10-15 hours of content. I'm like, how are you doing it? Like, this is crazy. But the like shorter definitely helps, especially in terms of like doing the pacing, and like I wouldn't have done kind of like cinematics and stuff like that if the game was longer, because that was already a lot to do. But yeah.
So I think I'm all out of questions. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to say, or?
Let me think. I guess maybe something that because I was also discussing with another developer, was like, because I watched your podcast with the Fabraz developers.
Yes.
And there was a discussion of expressive platformers.
Yes.
There's
like a movement towards expression.
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely a movement towards expressive platformer. That's also something like I was also looking at stuff like pseudo regalia when I worked on the character control and stuff like that. Something I really felt when I worked on the core gameplay for the parkour game, and so which also influenced Hypogea, is like I feel like for even if there's like a lot of stuff to do with like no, I'm struggling to phrase it. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think I have it. It's like there is I feel like there is a kind of trapping I feel with expressive 3D platformer, which is that you're giving a lot of options, but I feel like you're there. It also means that at some point I feel like you reach. It's also like different games for different people.
Course.
Obviously, like you have different philosophy. I feel like there is something of like there's probably a point where your character controller, like anything goes, you know.
Yeah.
Which is also a different, like, probably comes with a different structure and different like ways of design and different publics, but I feel, at least in my case of like a linear game and also way more directed gameplay, someone also mentioned like the Hypogea platforming is a bit of like on the grid, like the older Tomb Raiders,
Yes.
which I didn't necessarily think of it like that, but I definitely see it and I see how it could have happened. I feel like there is some value to be had in like a more constrained moveset, I guess, and having the player more be supposed to like figure out what's the correct combo of move, and not necessarily like like for example, there's lots of areas in Hypogea where like you can just jump, or you can do a staff jump, or you could like stand on your staff and jump, or like do a roll and then a jump and stuff like that. But there's still the moveset is still constrained enough that you have spaces that that kind of force a specific way of movement. And so I guess that's probably something where that might be something interesting in terms of like the maybe a trapping of the expressive platforming genre. But obviously, like I made one game, maybe next game will be totally different, and maybe it will be bad and stuff. But for me, like working on the game, I felt like that was something that you could easily get trapped into. I also saw like some feedback of like, oh, people really wanted like way more air control in the game, but that's also something where like I could add it, but I feel like it would kind of break lots of stuff in terms of platforming, and it's also like it's I feel like Hypogea, at least the way I think of it, is like way more of a deliberate platformer of like you're doing this specific move. And so I guess I don't know if that whole whole thing made kind of sense.
No, I agree. Like I completely get what you mean. Like Demon Turf is one of my favorite platformers, but I also really like this game. Like I think the great thing about the genre is that there's so many different like philosophies, and I feel like this game would not have. Like the thing I like about this game is using my 3 main mechanics, like the pull, jump, and the, like you said, like the 3 that you mentioned, using those to figure out basically the puzzle of getting over somewhere. And that's why I mentioned Prince of Persia, because one of my favorite things about the Sands of Time game is that it's basically a puzzle on how to go from one place to the other. And that's what I liked about this game, is like, okay, I see this place I'm supposed to go to, how do I get there? And I think that's one of the strengths of the game, and I feel like it's vice versa with something like Demon Turf, where I feel like if you, because I feel like the allure of that game is the expressiveness. If you remove moves, it would not be as fun.
Yes, yeah, and then again, really cool stuff they're doing. I just feel like sometimes there's this thing of like I feel like people kind of pigeonhole like, oh, a platformer is supposed to be
Yes.
like that, and
Yep.
there's I feel like there's lots of design space for other stuff.
Yes, I think that's the core of the issue, right? Like people trying to just box games into specific things where there's so many different types of games and like they're all equally valid. And I love that this game is different than Demon Turf because that's two different experiences they can have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think again you made a good choice in limiting your movement because things like not being able to stand on your staff within these gratings, it's kind of harder to do when you have 15 different mechanics. Also, I'm sure
yes,
an absolute nightmare to test, I'm sure, for Braz. So
yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm already cheating, to be honest. Like, for example, here the grates. Like, I lock the because you can do a rolling jump. If you do a roll and then a jump, you jump higher. But if you're on these grates, I say no, which makes no sense. But like, it just I had to because otherwise the matrix would.
No, I mean, because it hurts. It hurts more when you jump off of these. Like your back hurts more. So
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, huge props to them for making a game like that because I have no idea how they handle.
No, they are insane, and now they're making 2 games. I don't even know how. I don't even know if they have time for sleep.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's nothing else, like where can people reach you?
So there's a Hypogea Discord server, which I probably should manage a bit more. But if people want to reach me, I'm there. I'm also mostly on Bluesky. So yeah, Bluesky, Discord, probably will pop up in the Hypogea Steam discussions if someone says there's a bug.
Yeah.
Because I did a lot of that past week, but yeah.
Yeah. And for everyone who wants to give this game a try, there's a demo out. Try it out if you like it. Support an indie dev and buy this game. And yeah, keep an eye out for the Yellow Paint DLC on April 1st. But yeah, thank you so much, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and like thanks for everyone for playing my game. I'm really